How are you? We're having a wonderful time this week. Oh my goodness. I'm praying that while you're in with your family, your loved ones, that there's peace in the valley. I tell you, we're going to find out for sure how true your love is, right? How thick it goes while you this shutting in. Tonight we're going to be talking about a pretty much a touchy subject. Yeah, in some regards, it's very touchy because the topic is, if it's just a rumor, why are you so angry? How are you for coming in and joining in with this old woman? If it's your first time, we always, like we said, we always talk about everyday life subjects, and yes, of course, it comes from a Christian perspective, and sometimes it get very raw. I honestly will tell you that because you might not hear things the way that this old lady talks about it, but we talk about every life day situation, and I just want to just thank you all for coming in and joining. Uh, if you have your word with you, we're gonna go immediately to I'm going to be skipping around. I want you to know that we'll be in Second Samuel, but we're going to skip around. Uh, in Second Samuel, the third chapter, 6 verse says, during the war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner kept acquiring more power in the house of Saul. Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, and as Ishbosheth questioned Abner, why did you sleep with my father's concubine? Abner was very angry about Ishbosheth's accusation. Am I a dog's head who belongs to Judah? He asked. All this time I've been loyal to the family of your father Saul, to his brothers, and to his friends, and haven't betrayed you to David. But now you accuse me of wrongdoing with this woman? May God punish Abner and do so severely. If I don't do for David what the Lord swore to him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and establish the throne of David over Israel and Judah from Dan to Beersheba. Ishbosheth did not dare respond to Abner because he was afraid of him. Now let's go do a little background right quick before we go further with this. Abner was King Saul's cousin, and he was his chief commander of his army. Now, during the entire time that Saul was living, Abner knew that King Saul did not have the personality to be king. He was arrogant, which meant he was fearful. He was suspicious of everything and everyone. He would always send someone out to spy on David. You had to even imagine that he was an eavesdropper. See, this is the thing we got to understand. In order to have character, we talked about the right kind of character. If you're in a room and someone is saying some things, even if they're talking about you, make yourself known. That gives that person the opportunity to either be real or they're going to just totally pretend they didn't say anything. They know truthfully they can't. They know that you heard at least something. But don't just stand there and steal information, because if they really wanted you to hear it at that time, they would tell you. Or maybe you're not one that they can tell you the truth to, because you might not can handle it. That's just the way it is. That may sound hard, but that's the truth. So tonight you're seeing that this commander of armies, who was such a warrior, got angry immediately, so angry to the point that he's telling the king, the now new king that he appointed 2 years ago. Now, how is it that the commander of an army can appoint a king? It's mighty amazing. But then that shows that even what goes on into the United States, God anoints, but he allows some people to appoint. That's what happens in our culture. We appoint our leaders. We vote them in. And this commander of armies, which was amazing to me, he was able to set up a king. He set up Saul's son, of course, because in the natural way, the natural business, in the natural procedures or protocol, the sons of the king would be the next in line for the throne. But we knew that the Lord did a supernatural thing. He allowed Saul to be man's permissive will, his permissive will to mankind, should I say. He didn't want them to have a king, but they so desired one until he uh, he appeased them. And he knew the character of this man who was tall. We talked about how tall and handsome he was. He was head and shoulders above everybody else, but he didn't see his giftings. He didn't see strong points. He did not see the value in himself. And because of this, he was a coward. He was a trickster. He was really a murderer in his spirit. He will find any way to annihilate anyone. We talked about that when he decided to even put his own son under the bus, kill him off because he made a crazy vow. I don't want anybody to eat all day until I've conquered my enemy. How in the world you expect for these men to fight all day long in a heated battle and not even put a piece of bread in their mouth? Got to be chronically stupid. But his arrogance, he was so willing to prove himself. Always nanny, nanny, nanny. Let me see, let me see. Now I got. We do understand that men are that way. They do what they do. They like to get praise for, and that's not bad. You just God made you that way. But sometimes some men get over the top, and Saul was one of those. Every single thing. I guarantee you, it was almost to the point they were afraid for the Joker to go to the bathroom and have a good bowel movement because he would come back and tell you how long he was there, how much it was. Just everything had to get some credit. So here he was with his murderous spirit, Saul, and his cousin Abner, his chief commander, around this uh, king with his nastiness, insecurities. All this time, even he had the king's ear. He knew where the king had these insecurities. And we all have idiosyncrasies. Yes, we do. That little thing that makes us such. Let me just bust myself tonight because you know that the Lord always have had me to do that, and I'm willing to do it. It's okay. Because I know that you can't heal, you can't grow, and you can't be used unless the Lord really can trust you with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help him for being who he is. There's a thing about me that I've always wondered too, because I've always been a person. One, I'll give you the last shirt off my back. That's what I would do. I'm a giving person, yes. And even to the point, even in conversations, I noticed this as of lately, and I was called out on some things on this one particular area. The thing that bothered me about it was their perception of what I do. Now, and I'll tell you what it is. Generally, when someone is making a statement or something, or they might be criticizing something or somebody, and it could be legit, they really have a legitimate reason to say what they're saying, and it could be an illustration or something that happened to them in their life or whatever, and immediately I would take a personal pronoun to it. I'm not even putting myself in the position. I'm not thinking along that lines when I say what I say, but it would be perceived to someone that I'm always putting me in the scenario, because I would say and I would come up with an illustration, something that I had gone through to show that it wasn't like that situation. And I was told that I was very selfish because of it. Now that bothered me because I'm like, that he's accusing me of being selfish. If you really knew who I am, that would not come out of your mouth. If you really see what I really do, and you really appreciate what I do, that would not come out of your mouth. I went on and I was thinking for a little while. And I'm like, then the first thing, my flesh started getting in a mess. You know, we go down this list of things, what you did, what you said, what you should have did, and what you didn't did. And then the enemy will always bring up the worst of the worst of the worst of what they did and what they said. And maybe some things they just don't know how to recover from. Some things but you know, we ladies, you keep forgetting, men, we remember it all. The whole conversation, what started, how it started, why you did it, and what you did, and even amid our own. And then I was in a situation where I'm start thinking, okay, now I know he did not say that I'm selfish, but I never did this. I didn't say that. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't go there. I'm going down my list. I never did this. And all of these things. And oh my goodness, the Father let you vent for a while. And then he says, but that's the way he perceived it because you put yourself in there. I said, but then when I call him out on the truth, he can't handle it. None of it. Won't own it at all. We could have had this thing solved. See, he's still working on me. Because the thing is, if someone accuses you of something, if it is not the truth, you won't get so angry. It won't be casualties. And we're going to go into where this is coming from in just a moment. But let's go back to this illustration, putting me out there again. And the Lord was saying, I know that I gave you gifts and it bothers you, especially, and I had to see this because I did not know. With everyone, I would do that, but with certain ones, it's even more so because, for one, he showed me you don't trust him. You don't trust him with your heart. You don't trust him. You don't trust him to keep his word. That is why you were so quick on the trigger. Anything he says. Anything he says. And then I said, well, Lord, you know the truth now. We know this history. We know what I'm going with this. You know it's undeniable. You won't lie. You can't lie. I could be talking until I turn as blue as this shirt, this garment I have on. And he still would not own it. I said, Lord, it has to be a man thing. But then I thought about it. No, it's not. Fear causes us to do these things. So I constantly pray. And then you get to the point where you say, well, if you ever get to the point where you give up, that's the wrong thing to do. Casualties take place then. And that is what we're talking about. There should be no casualties because you even got angry. Word says we can be angry, but don't sin. Don't start saying stuff you have no business. Don't be speaking curses on people. You're never going to do this. You're never going to do that. You start speaking curses on people. Never use that opportunity. We should never do that because I've even gone there. You trying to hurt me, Joker? I know you disqualified yourself a long time ago. How dare you to come out of your mouth and say anything negative to me? Oh, yeah, that was in my spirit. Sure was. And hot and ready on the trigger anytime he says anything to me. It's right there. I wish you would because you will not apologize for things. You will not stop doing things. And I'm sorry, men, that's the way we women are until you own your stuff and we really give it all over to the Lord. It's there. And we just need you to fix it because that's the way we are. You got to fix it. And in order to fix it, you got to stop it. Women have to feel secure. It doesn't mean you got to have a lot of money. We're secure with you if you digging ditches. But you with us, and we know you with us, and you got our back, and you covering us, you praying for us. I don't have to worry about you making me feel small or anything like this. We women are like that. Now, ladies on the other end too, you cannot feel that you can just bash. Don't do like I have, just waited for the moment, just any moment for you to get ugly. Now, I'm not trying to go out and bash, but I'm waiting. Like, I wish you would say anything negative to me. How can you with your disqualified self? Oh, yeah, it's in my spirit. I'm going to tell you, it sure is. And Lord is open it up. Anything he opens up, he wants to work it out of you. And I did not know that part about me where I come to the defense of people. So I put myself in there and say, well, I did not come up with an illustration. Well, I didn't do that, or a situation would happen. And I said, well, it happened to me this way. And I'm really not even thinking about me. It sounds like it to you. And I could see from this individual's perspective why they would think that I was being selfish, because that was along their vein. They're thinking that way. And I'm thinking, how dare you think anybody's selfish? You can't go there with me. Not you. Oh no. Never. And that was in my spirit. And then I was getting more angry. How dare you even open your mouth? Don't say anymore. And then they at the same point would say, defending, because they feel it. They feel like they have to defend. And yes, we're talking about my own spouse. Yes, you will know that. Yes, so you have these conversations, and I prayed. I said, I just got to go and do this, because I had finally, I said, I'm going to let myself down. I'm just going to give you, just handle it. Because in something that, and the Lord would always put something in your presence, in your before your face, and so he can deposit something in your spirit. And it took a video that someone shared with me about Steve Jobs' last words, and he was talking about what was really priority, and in it he was saying about family, and he was talking about if someone really loves you, they might have a lot of reasons to leave you, but they will hold on to the one that will make them stay. And see, we women generally we do that. I'm sorry to try to sound like I'm bashing you men again, but you all don't. You're not that faithful sometimes. You find all sorts of reasons to leave. And even if you don't leave in your body or in your in your presence, but your mind is gone. You don't pay as much attention, or maybe we feel like you criticizing all the time, because it makes us feel that you are dissatisfied with where you are and who you are. And if you then come out your mouth and we hear you say things such as this, I'm a prisoner in my own house. That, and I'm already like, I know you, Joker, didn't even come out there and flip your lip like that. You're not a prisoner anywhere. You can go anywhere in this house, you can do anything, and don't even try me. Yes, this is an honest, open, unabashedly presentation that the Lord want me to bring out, because somebody else is there. He doesn't want you to end your marriage over crazy stuff that have not been dealt with. And this is where we're going. Go back to the word and you're going to see just where I'm talking about. Abner, son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, took Saul's son Ishbosheth and moved him to Maon. He made him king over Gilead, Asher, Jezreel, Ephraim, Benjamin, over all Israel. Saul's son Ishbosheth was 40 years old when he became king over Israel. He reigned for 2 years. The house of Judah, however, followed David. The length of time that David was king over Hebron, over the house of Judah, was 7 years and 6 months. So Israel and Judah were separated for one point, because Israel had not accepted King David as the rightful king, as the Lord says. Now we're going to skip a little verses. Then Abner said to Joab. Joab is King David's, one of King David's commanders, and there were three brothers, Joab and his brothers, and I'll name them. And this is where you're going to see where anger over some stuff, have not let some things go, would get in the way. It would get in the way really fast, really fast. Yeah. So you have Joab. We go here. Joab. Here we are. Let's go right here. I'll tell you what the background on that. Abner, son of Ner, which is King Saul's cousin, and soldiers of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, marched over Mahanaim to Gibeon. So Joab, son of Zuriah, oh my goodness, come on now, Zuriah, and David's soldiers marched out and met them by the pool of Gibeon. The two groups took up positions on opposite sides of the pool. Then Abner said to Joab, "Let the young men get up and compete in front of us." "Let them get up," Joab replied. So they got up and were counted off, 12 for Benjamin and Ishbosheth, son of Saul, and 12 for David's soldiers. Then each man grabbed his opponent by the head and thrust his sword into his opponent's side so that they all died together. So this place was, which is in Gibeon, is named Field of Blaze. I'm still trying to get to that scripture really quickly where Abner kills Joab's brother, and it was during the battle. Mm-hmm. Well, we probably get to it. Let's go on. The battle that day was extremely fierce, and Abner and the men of Israel were defeated by David's soldiers. The three sons of Zuriah, I'm just going to say it that way, Zuriah, were there: Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. Asahel was a fast runner, like one of the wild gazelles. He chased Abner, did not turn to the right or to the left in pursuit of him. Abner glanced back and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" Now, this battle that they were going on, the way that Abner did it would make you wonder. Well, he's very cunning, and he didn't want everybody to fight. So he said, "Let them fight. Let the young men fight in front of us. You take 12 and we'll point 12 and let them fight each other." So they actually took their swords to each other. And of course, King David's men conquered. So I, for some reason, had to see something in Abner because he chased him. This young man could run, like he said, like a gazelle. He was just gifted to run. So he chased him. And Abner glanced back and said, "Is that you, Asahel?" He said, "Yes, it is." Abner said to him, "Turn to your right or left. Seize one of the young soldiers. Go chase them down. Destroy one of them, but just go on now. Don't mess with me." He said, "And take whatever you can get from him." But Asahel would not stop chasing him. Once again, Abner warned Asahel, "Stop chasing me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How could I ever look your brother Joab in the face?" But Asahel refused to turn away. So Abner hit him in the stomach with the butt of his spear, and the spear went straight through his body. So he hit him hard. He pushed him to from the butt of the spear all the way through. He went struck him backwards with the sword, with his spear. And he failed and died right there. And as they all came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died, they stopped. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner. They were his brothers. They kept pursuing him until the point where Abner had to come out and say, "Why are you chasing your own brothers?" See, he's cunning. And Joab says, "Okay, as God lives, if you had not spoken up, the troops wouldn't have stopped pursuing their brothers until morning." Then he blew the ram's horn, and the troops stopped, and they no longer were fighting. So Abner and his men marched through Arabah all that night. So they let him go. Now you would think that was done, right? He blew the horn, said there was peace. But neither, well, it's mostly Joab. But Joab and Abishai were still upset that Abner killed their brother. They didn't hear the conversation where Abner told him, "Back on off now. I don't want to kill you. Why don't you just go and fight with some of the younger men? Strike him down, take his stuff, and be done. But just don't bother me. Back on off. I don't want to have to do this." They didn't hear that conversation. Sometimes we see some things going on with people, and unless we're privy to the information, we don't get it right. And then you can find out there's sometimes people start bringing stuff in your face. When they get angry, you're going to find out where a person is. If they keep saying the same thing over and over, and then it'll get to the point they won't even have to wait till they're angry to say it. But if they especially keep saying this stuff when they're angry, it's one or two things is going on. They are totally immature because they got to hurt you before you hurt them. Or they really meaning what they're saying. Either way is not a good thing. So they didn't hear. And sometimes, like I said, someone will throw something in your face. And this has happened to me many times. I mean, it's like even in high school, a lot of foolishness going. But sometimes people are angry, even when I was working in the stores. And even especially when I was with children and families, I'm in the middle of the court room and a woman start calling me everything that you didn't want to be calling. And men, get this out your mouth, start calling women that itch word. They are not a dog. They don't have everybody jumping on them. And their boobs are not just dragging to the ground for every puppy to nip on. Get it right. Do not call that. Because I'm going to tell you, if a woman tells you, if you think I'm one of those, and she knows she's not what you've given up this name for, she can honestly call you out and say where your mother was, your sister was, your children were, if your daughters, every woman in your family. If you think I am, then you get upset and you won't like that, will you? So keep your mouth to yourself. If you can't call her by her name or call her lady, grow your behinds up. And you too, ladies, don't start calling them all kinds of names like they're just whatever. Now, I would say joker in a minute. Now, I would call you pompous too if you arrogant. I might not always sound that white when I say I'm being honest with you. There's some working out, some stuff he's working out of me. So anyway, they didn't hear this conversation. And then going back to sometimes people hear things you don't think they hear. You talking to somebody else. You may be venting because of something that had gone on or something that this person might have done or said. And then they put you in predicaments where you always constantly wondering what your next step will have to be. You're always having to feel like you got a plan ahead. It shouldn't be that way. But sometimes people make you feel that way. And so you may be venting and you sharing some things, but if someone can tell you something that you didn't tell them, and you know good and well they wasn't on the other end of the phone, that meant they eavesdropped. You just stole a conversation with me. And when people do that to me, I can't trust you. If you do this, you would do anything, I figure. My mother always said that if you can stand there and steal somebody's conversation, you can steal the underwear. She said the drawers off their back. Help me, somebody. I'm Southern. Come on. And so I don't trust people that do that because you should make yourself known. Now, if I overhear a conversation, like I tell my husband all the time because he has hearing deficiency, he was working with aircraft and during that time in his hearing, he lost so much of it, and I really feel sorry. But it's sometimes very difficult, and I know it's difficult for he because he doesn't always hear certain letters, and it's difficult for me because he's thinking I'm saying something that I'm not saying. And that has always happened since we've known each other, since we've been together. That's been a lot of our confusion because he's thinking I'm saying something I have not said. And so it's so frustrating. Then you get to the point like, Lord, you really got to help me because he'll get angry. And you can understand it's frustrating, but it's ticking you off because why should you be angry? And I didn't even say this. So anyway, I said, Lord, you bringing all this out while we stuck in the house with each other all this time. You bringing this out. And that's what the Lord will do. He will work stuff out of you that you didn't even know was there. Now, does that mean I don't love him? Oh, honey, please. I tell him all the time. If I didn't, he wouldn't even know where I am in the world. And I wouldn't care where he would be if I didn't. So I'm just being totally real. And there you have it. So here we are with this, with Abner. Joab had not gotten over what Abner did. Now he acted as if he had. but it was still there. He's waiting for the moment. And here it is. Look at this. Abner, on the 17th verse of the 3rd chapter, Abner conferred with the elders of Israel. In the past, you wanted David to be king over you. Now take action. Now, you remember I just said, Abner is doing this because Ishbosheth called him out about King Saul's concubine, which is his secondary wife. Rizpah had children with him. Now, why would he ask Abner something like that if it were not true? When he's in a position of king, people are going to talk to him. Maybe Rizpah said it herself. Maybe he walked up and saw it. Maybe he overheard a conversation. And like I said, if I overhear something, I will tell you I heard you say it. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. Why lie? I'll tell you I heard it out of your own mouth. This is what you did. This is what I saw you do. Now you either own it and be mature and we work it through, or you continue to be a baby sucking your thumb and pretend it didn't happen. But I'm not going to let you feel comfortable in it because I'm going to let you know I'm not crazy. So, this is what happened to Ishbosheth. He called Abner out. Why are you sleeping with my father's concubine Rizpah? Abner gets so ticked off, he said, I dare you. I've been faithful to your father. I've been faithful to all of his friends and I've been faithful to all of you. And you're gonna accuse me of this woman. Why are you so upset, Abner? If that were not true. He said, and then he had gone to the point, now that's when he get ugly. When someone goes deep with you. One or two things again. They hadn't healed from some past stuff, and this seems familiar, or they're guilty as sin and they're too immature to own it. Because there is no reason to get that ugly that Abner just did. Abner actually said, if I don't turn this kingdom over to David like the Lord had said, let him punch me ever feeling. Now, why didn't you tell Saul to give up the kingdom? Why didn't you tell him that God had said that David was called? No, you waited years later when your behind got caught in your stuff. And he didn't call you out in front of everybody. See, but that's what people would do. They'll get ugly with you and put it all out there. Everybody got to hear it. You get so low and you so loud and you so nasty because why? You got to defend yourself again. Why? And people going to be talking about you. Then they wouldn't have said anything. It could have been quiet. But you put it out there, too much information that they do not forget. And now you're stuck. Grow up. It's just an accusation. You should not get that angry. So, what did he do? Abner goes to David, tells him, I'm going to make sure the people put you as king. He knew that David was king anyway. He knew that they were going to either have to fight the battle and get Ishbosheth out of the kingdom, because most kings are not going to give up their throne that easily, you would not think. So he goes to David, tell him he's going to talk to the people, and they made an agreement. And he said, and there it is, Abner conferred with the elders of Israel. In the past, you wanted David to be king over you. Now take action, because the Lord has spoken concerning David. Through my servant David, I will save my people Israel from the power of the Philistines and the power of all Israel's army. So he had heard the information. Somewhere the Lord had told him. Because David never said that to Saul, not one day of his life did he say it. When he was actually Saul's armor bearer, practically, he was working one of his soldiers, and he was playing the music for him. He never threw in his face what God had called him to do. Never. Even when Saul tried to trick him by marrying one of his daughters, because he knew that David would be so in love with her that he will have her on his mind. Because if you're really in love with your woman, we know you're going to have her on your mind. You're going to find a way to make sure she feels secure with you. You're gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that everything gonna be all right at home, because you gonna make sure the money there, and she gonna make sure the honey is there, and you gonna make sure the honey is there too. That's what relationship is. More than just that piece of paper. But don't play stupid. We talked about that before. In this country, you got to have a paper. In the United States of America, you have to have the paper to be acknowledged as husband and wife. So don't even go there. You can play all that stuff if you want to, not judging you, but just telling you the truth. That didn't even have to do anything with the scripture. You know the law of the land. They said in order for you to be recognized as husband and wife, you've got to have that marriage certificate. A lot of people like to play house and not be house. They want the benefits of being married, but then still have the convenience of leaving at any time they don't like what's going on. Life happens. Now, we don't need this. We need it to be the way the Lord said it. Either you're going to be single all the way, or you're going to be all the way married, because it doesn't work. One of you married and one of you single. And it sure enough can't work if you are married, but yet you single in your mind. And like I said, in your behind. You got no business laying and playing with anybody when you're married. And if that's on your mind to do, you don't need anybody in your life. Don't play house. Don't even play house with the ones you want to lay and play with. Just tell them, I'm just want to have it. Have I'm just going to tell you, I'm hot in my behind. I just want to have sex with you. It's wrong, yes. But at least they would know where you're coming from than to try to pretend you care that much about someone. You building up a life with someone, they start building up a bond with you. And especially if you ever been married, you don't just, unless you just a person who has a hard heart, you just don't leave that covenant immediately, even if you divorce and it was amicable. It's a death. You separating spirit from spirit, not just flesh. We talked about that. But anyway, going back to this, now Abner upset because Ishbosheth called him out. He knew that somebody heard that, because even in the government, you got people around the leaders all the time. People hear information, they privy to things all the time. They just can't run all over, like we say, willy nilly and telling everything they hear. They can't do that. But they heard him say this. So he can't look bad. Absolutely not. What are the people going to say? The next thing they're going to be asking, how long was he with Rizpah? Was he still messing with her when Saul was there? And more than likely, yes, if that's the case. That didn't just happen. You just don't fall in the bed with somebody. That had already happened in your mind long before you got yourself there. And we already know, we said that before, and women especially know, we know when, because I had boyfriends that like to cheat. I don't understand. I knew it wasn't me because I wasn't giving up the cookies. And that's the reason why. And that really says a lot about them. If you're good enough to sleep with, but that's all. You're good enough to clean and cook, and that's all. But you're not good enough to be a wife. I can't do that, because if I do that, that means I might have to give you my stuff. That's sad. If you have diminished yourself to your stuff, that's sad. You really not worth somebody marrying you. To get your name, women get your name because that's security. This man is going to be with me the rest of my life. We're going to die together. It's not about your stuff, it's about your heart. Now, you have some women that just want stuff, but you knew that when you got them. Some women don't have the money, and ladies, some men don't have the money you do. If they love you, they love you. They give you all they are. So cut that foolishness out. But anyway, back to this joker trying to cover up his stuff. You should have done this right before. You should have already told Saul all the time. You know David is called by God. Why don't you just resign? Why don't you just turn the kingdom over to him? Or work with him at least until the time of your death. Because David never even put his hand on him. He could have had two occasions where he could have killed Saul. But he said, be it far from me that I ever put my hand on God's anointed. And when his own people or the enemies came and boasted, came running to David, telling them that they had killed Saul, he asked me to do it. He said, and you thought you was giving me some good news. Joker, you're going to die today. It didn't make you feel bad that you killed God's anointed. He strike him down. And here are these two people that were once Ishbosheth's armor bearers, in a sense. They were part of his kingdom. They worked with his guards. They were part of his guards. So we just say armor bearers. And they came in while Ishbosheth was lying down on the bed, because at this point Ishbosheth is scared. He's already scared of Abner. That tells you he knows this joker would go to any means necessary to get what he wants. And he doesn't care. So he was afraid of him already. Now I called him out on messing with my father's concubine, which meant death. If Saul had known that, he would have died, because Saul did not care. He would have killed his own son. It was by law anyway. If you touched the king's wife or his concubines, you die. She was no longer, she could never be touched by any other man, because she now was the king's. And if the joker did this and his cousin, Saul would have killed him. And people would have figured it out. How long? This just didn't happen. You've been out on war and you've been doing this. And wait a minute, I remember this. I saw them here. People are always going to see you. You might not know it. They're going to see you. And it always get back to the people. If you're messing up, it'll get back to, and don't let it be God's anointed. It will always come back to them. Every time I talked about the boyfriends when I was younger, and I haven't had many. Like I didn't even go to the prom. And it's not because I feel like I'm so ugly, and no one can say, oh, because she felt that she was overweight, whatever. I'm telling you, women are beautiful, whatever size, but no, that was not my portion. I was small. I was born small. And I was small at that time. So if they were just looking at a physical body, that was it. But I would not do certain things. I got saved before I was 6 years old, and that part I meant. I have sinned, yes. I had a child when I was 20 years old, yes, and I was not married. Very devastating for me. In the church, to say things. And I understand that some people have no boundaries. They don't care. They have the experience. They have slept with every Mary, Susie, and Jane, and everybody else, and they really don't care at this point what your feelings are and what people think. But that's a lie too, because if they tell you the truth, they know it. They figure who they are and trying to put salve on a wound that's still bleeding that only God can heal. But anyway, but some people feel that they got to cover themselves by their escapades, how many people they slept with, and so good and so thankful to tell you that, because they know they're good at that. That's still arrogance. That's still fear. Because they feel so insecure and everything else, insignificant. Then they get to the point of telling you about their body parts and all these things. I've heard men do it. What the size is and all this foolishness, because you're insecure. You don't have to do that. Be who you are. Women are attracted to your heart. Unless she's one that just wants your stuff. And you will know that quickly. And even with ladies, if they just want you just for your body, or if you have more stuff than them and they want to be looking good on your arm, or you on their own, however you want to say it, and they want to just use for your stuff, they won't stay there. Even if they're in your house, they still won't stay there. They're going to be with somebody else. It'll come out. But anyway, back to Abner. He said he's going to inform the Benjamites, and he went to Hebron and informed David about all that was agreed on by Israel and the whole house of Benjamin. When Abner and 20 men came to David at Hebron, David held a banquet for him and his men. Abner said to David, let me go, and I will gather all Israel to my lord the king. They will make a covenant with you, and you will reign over all you desire. So David dismissed Abner, and he went in peace. Just then David's soldiers and Joab returned from a raid and brought a large amount of plundered goods with them. Abner was not with David in Hebron because David had dismissed him and he had gone in peace. When Joab and his whole army arrived, Joab was informed. Abner, son of Ner, came to see the king. The king dismissed him, and he went in peace. See, they knew Joab still had this grudge. And yes, it's hard. He killed my brother, but it was during war. There's some things that take place when you are in wartime. You know there's going to be casualties. People blaming God for things, and you are in war. You caused some war in your life. Some things is going on. Some casualties are taking place because you probably got your heart on stuck on your stuff and your money in the bank, and you don't have your allegiance totally with Him. So you in war, and there are going to be some casualties. Yes, God don't like idols. He tells you that clearly. He forgives us of every sin, anything and everything. The things that make you cringe to think that you did it. Who you did it with, where you been. Don't care. He doesn't care about that. He wants you to give it all over to him. He'll forgive you immediately, but stop doing your crazy stuff. He's still gonna pray for you. He's still waiting for you. But don't have idols. That he got to wipe you out. You notice that in the word, when they start having idols and offering their children up to these idols, burning them, uh, people were having sex with animals and sex with all kinds of things, worshiping other idols that way. And we still know that goes on now in these orgies and in these secret societies that do that. The enemy uses sex. Why? Because it's the only way he can try to duplicate the intimacy that the Lord has with us. The Lord limited sexual intercourse to married people. And that bothers people that want to keep doing what they want to do. Like I told you, I had sex out of wedlock. I was not married when I had my child. Sex is always pleasurable because it's something you're not supposed to be doing. But when we do it in the covenant of the Lord, the intimacy level is intensified because He's there. He's in your presence. And you get to know each other. You become literally one when those two people have agreed to become one. See, there's a lot of situations where people have gotten married or they in their relationships decide they're going to cohabitate. You decided to become a unit as far as paying a bill, staying in the house, and of course we're going to be monotonous. I said monotonous. Well, that could be too monogamous in our relationship. But really, then when something happens that you don't like, you gotta out. You figure I don't have to stay here. We're gonna have to let this go. There was no covenant there. So here we are, Abner, ready to give David. He thinking he giving David what the Lord already said, but the Lord was going to do it anyway. Joab is ticked off. What have you done? Look here now. He's talking to his king now, like he got it like that. Look what you have done. Abner came to you. Why did you dismiss him? Now he's getting away. You know that Abner, son of Ner, came to deceive you and to find out about your military activities because he did this. When Saul was king, still living, Abner was the one that was going to report some other men that was assigned. Wherever David was hiding out from Saul, oh yeah, Abner was up on it. So why didn't you tell the king then, King Saul, that you should stop pursuing David? God has this favor. You just quoted it. You knew, you heard it. But now it's beneficial to you because now people are going to be talking about me and my mess. You put it out there when you did it. Somebody always sees you. Somebody's always hearing what you're doing. Now he's arrogant. So now he says, and you know that's what he's going to do. Then Joab left David and sent messengers after Abner. They brought him back from the well of Sirah, but David was unaware of it. When Abner returned to Hebron, Joab pulled him aside to the middle of the city gate where everybody can see him now. So your stuff get caught up with when you don't give it over to the Lord. As if to speak to him privately. And there Joab stabbed him in the stomach. So Abner died in revenge for the death of Asahel, Joab's brother. Okay? All this time, he pretended that it was done. You remember when I just said You angry because some things have been said or some things have been done that should have never been said and should have never been done, and it's a given. God himself knows it should have never been done, should have never been said, and should have never been repeated over and over. You know this, but you got to give it over to the Lord. Except if you don't, you have a moment where you feel like you got to get back. Now, if you're a child of God, it's not going to go to this point you're trying to kill anybody. Absolutely not. But when they come up with that foolishness, you always ready. I wish you would say something. I just wish you would. That's in your mind. And you can't be that way. That's revenge. I'm going to make you own it whether you want to or not. Because I know you're going to go there. I know you're going to say something ugly. And when you get ugly with me, I'm just going to tell more of the truth to you, to your face, and you won't be able to deny. Keep on denying it all you want to. I'm going to keep on saying it. That's not good. What's the point in that? God is not getting any glory out of that stuff. So here Joab kills Abner because of his brother. The king didn't even know it. And here Abner gets killed because he's trying to revenge an accusation. There should not be any casualties like this. When we own it, we can ask for forgiveness. People have respect for you when you ask for forgiveness. But when you're asking for forgiveness, don't be a politician just getting your votes to be able to take over more territory to make it look good for you. Don't do that now. You be real. David gets to the point, he says, I'm the king. He told him, he said, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to you. You had no business doing that. Let me just tell you, that's when you got to talk to the enemy. That's when you got to talk to the enemy. Let me tell you what David said. David heard about it later and said, I and my kingdom are forever innocent before the Lord concerning the blood of Abner, son of Ner. May it hang over Joab's head and his father's whole family. And may the house of Joab never be without someone who has a disease, the discharge of a skin disease, or a man who can only work a spindle, or someone who falls by the sword or starves. Joab and his brother Abishai killed Abner because he had put their brother Asahel to death in the battle of Gibeon. He killed Abner in war. You know, some casualties take place. He didn't seek out to destroy him. He even warned him, why should I even put my hand on you? Why don't you just go to the younger boys and get your and take them out and just take the plunder with you? We'll be done with this, but let me go. This man was experienced. He told him, I don't want to even do this to you. Back on off, Asahel. Do I have to kill you? I can't even look at your brother in the face. But Joab didn't see this, but he keep forgetting. Yeah, that's your brother. Yes, but this is wartime. Things don't just happen like you want it in wartime. You're going to take territory from your enemy in wartime. If you have to destroy the whole city, their dogs, their cats, their cattle, whatever, you taking over territory in wartime. And that's what that was. Because at the same time, he told him, do you have to, it's really going to get ugly if you keep on coming after me, Joab. Do you have to keep coming after your own brothers? And he acted like he was appeased. But he wasn't. He kept that in his spirit. And you have people that are so arrogant and still hurting you over stuff somebody else did to them when they were kids. And they take that venom out on you. And you wonder, why in the world are you talking to me about it? I don't even know anything about it. Wasn't there, didn't do it. And really, to be honest, I don't give a flying flip or hard-boiled egg about it. That's done. It's over with. Drop the mic on it. And this is what he should have as a man of honor knew. This is wartime. You back on off. You destroyed many. Joab himself killed hundreds of men. But because it was his brother. Sometimes that's what we do. We'll take up for ourselves and don't think about everybody else. Unlike me, I put myself in every conversation. I told you. As soon as I hear some things, it's just something in me. I just always, all my life, I love people. And the more I hear of things, the more I say, well, I'll bring up a situation. Now, and anybody who knows me know that happens. Those that are close to me, though, they understand it and they let it go because they know I'm not really talking about me. Unless you get to know me, and then you'll know. Because most people say, well, I'm not talking about you. And then I explain to them. And that's where you're supposed to. That's communication. Oh, I'm not talking about me. I mean this. This is why I brought that up. That's how you communicate, get to know people. You learn their idiosyncrasies, and it won't bother you after a while. You just understand that's who they are. She's seeing something else. She's trying to even make peace, even in this situation. She wants them to not hurt and you not hurt. So she's bringing up an illustration. That's something I'm going to work on, yes, because I was called out on it. And I'm going to work on it. And I'm not going to get myself in the flesh because I had gotten to the point I'm not going to have any conversation. That was going to come out my mouth. That's crazy. You got to talk to people. It's like, what's the point? If it's just going to be all of this, if that's every time I turn around, it's going to be always me, something that they got to find fault in me, then, and I cannot tell the truth about anything, then what's the use? That's not God. You have casualties when you take an accusation. And if it's just an accusation, you won't get angry about it. You're going to work that thing out. No, this is not the way that is. Abner could have clearly not even been at David's house at that time. If he had just answered Ishbosheth, whether or not you did it or not. That shows that even though Abner was strong and mighty in battle, he still had some insecurities in his spirit. He had some things he needed to work out with God. And let us not allow that to happen to us. That even we hear accusations, because people are going to accuse you of a lot of stuff. Yes, they will. And some they'll even bring up back in your face, and you did do it years ago or whatever, even if it was just yesterday. If you're done with it, you gave it over to the Lord. And even and if you're not at that place now, I'm asking you to get there. But if you have owned it to them and asked them to forgive you and you're not doing it anymore, then they have no right to keep bringing that back up in your face. It no longer exists. That shows an insecurity in them, lack of character and lack of maturity. But you live your life like it never happened. Once you got over with it and you've done it no more, don't do it anymore. Don't find opportunities to keep slipping back in there. Because when you do that, that's when casualties take place. You're going to lose the very things that is the best thing for you. So let's not let that happen to us. If it's an accusation, let it go. There should not be any casualties. And like we said, if it's an accusation, if it's just an accusation, why are you getting angry? Oh, I thank you for being who you are. I love you so much. I tell you that all the time. But this is one thing you should know. God loved you first, and he loved you best. God bless you. Good night.